Hello, my name is RoshikNagaSai Patibandla, and my mentor is Ross Greer. This presentation will be about my paper, Evaluating Driver Response to Integrated Safety Monitoring Systems. To start off, new technologies like integrated safety systems are becoming a daily part of our driving experience. But the important question is, how do drivers actually feel about being monitored, especially in the cases of drunk driving? The findings would shape the future of our roads and the laws that govern them. Moving on to the related research, alcohol ignition interlock systems are systems that prevent a vehicle ignition if the driver's blood alcohol content exceeds a set limit. This usually ranges from between 0.02 to 0.04, and such systems are being implemented in the EU and the USA. Particularly in California, it calls for mandatory use in vehicles in DWI offenders. The cost is about $2.20 per day with a $125 installation fee. This is mandated by work order towards a DWI offender. Alcohol interlock systems also use biomarkers such as carbohydrate deficient transferrin and PEth. They can indicate if alcohol was consumed from between days to even weeks. The use case is allows for correlation of PEth levels with higher BAC in DWI offenders. Machine learning and sensor-based systems are also being used. Camera-based monitoring analyzes eye movements, gaze, and head motion using different algorithms to determine if a driver meets BAC thresholds. There's also different kinds of sensors to assess if a driver is under the influence of alcohol. A very specific example of machine learning and camera-based monitoring is a system that uses eye movements, gaze, and head motion using the Remo DNAB algorithm. System metrics are given ROC of 0.88 with an error of 0.09 for detecting blood alcohol content above 0.05. A specific example of a sensor-based system is using Wi-Fi signals and an IMU sensor to monitor psychomotor coordination. It also provides signal processing that includes noise filtration, PSA, and mode decomposition for accurate BAC estimation. Moving on to the methods, the primary data collection method was a survey. Participants were randomly selected across the US as long as they were drivers. However, minors were not included in this study. Participants had voluntary participation with an option to withdraw. The survey covers demographics, awareness, and reactions to integrated safety systems. Moving on, we will assess a couple of questions and understand why they're important. And one such question is, how much automation does your car have? This is important because it allows us to assess how comfortable drivers are in automation. Another question is, how comfortable would you feel with a system that tracks your posture and hand placement while driving? This is important because it allows us to assess driver comfort with cameras that track posture and hand placement to detect if you're intoxicated. Another question pertaining to comfort is integrated BRAC level monitoring system that locks the ignition of your car. And this allows us to assess the specific comfortability of a certain system, such as BRAC level monitoring. Another question is, how much trust would you place in the accuracy of a system that monitors your eyes, posture, hands, and BRAC? This is important because it allows us to understand how much a driver is willing to put trust into a system to assess if a driver is under the impairment of alcohol. Another question is, how likely are you to change your driving behavior based on the alerts or warnings from a driver monitoring system? This is incredibly important because it allows us to understand how likely is a driver to accept a alert from a alcohol system and if they're willing to follow it. Another question is, in terms of fault tolerance, what rate of false positive errors where a system mistakenly predicts the driver is under the influence of alcohol would you be comfortable with? This is important because it allows us to understand how much leeway can the system have without drivers feeling uncomfortable or not accepting the system. This also correlates with what percentage of instances of driving under impairment of alcohol are you okay with the system missing. This will allow us to understand how much drivers are okay with the system missing. And the question is, would the presence of a monitoring system that tracks eyes, posture, hands, and BRAC influence your decision to purchase a vehicle? This is important to automakers because it allows them to see if people are willing to even have such a system in the car and if it will either negatively or positively benefit them. And another question is, how should other people's vehicles respond when they detect alcohol impaired driving? This is an important distinction with another question, which is how would you like your vehicle to respond? And this also understand what drivers think other people should have to do when they're detected to be impaired under alcohol versus what they think themselves should do. But the main question is why? Why is such a study important? And it's important because it allows informed decision making. It provides data driven insights into driver attitudes toward safety monitoring systems. It equips lawmakers with evidence to make educated decisions regarding the adaptation of new technologies. It also shapes future legislation by influencing the development of regulations concerning the mandatory use of integrated safety systems in vehicles. It ensures that legislative bodies consider public opinion and potential societal impacts before passing laws. It also guides industry innovation by supporting automakers and tech developers in refining safety systems to align with driver preferences and concerns. It provides feedback for improving the design and functionality of these systems to enhance user acceptance and effectiveness. It also has long-term social benefits. It contributes to a broader understanding of how technology can be integrated into a society in a way that balances safety and privacy. It lays the groundwork for future studies that can track the evolving relationship between drivers and emerging vehicle technologies. And to wrap up, a quick recap. The intersection of safety and technology is integrated safety systems, and they're becoming an essential part in modern vehicles and aim to enhance driver safety. And understanding how drivers feel about being monitored, especially when it comes to impaired driving, is incredibly important. The insight to studies from the study will guide lawmakers in shaping regulations and help automakers refine these technologies. Looking forward, this research lays the groundwork for safer roads and informed decision making, balancing innovation with public concerns. And this concludes my presentation. Any questions? Thank you.